Okay, let us start with Leader Invest. Alexander Kudryavtsev, what do you use as a common data environment? We use Autodesk Vault right now because of information security issues. That's a relevant issue. It's not just for us. So we had a look at different solutions and we chose Vault. It's a proven solution. It's easily deployable and everything is stored on our server with backup capabilities, and we have access rights. We manage them. We do not depend on anyone. Thank you. Question to Sveko. You mentioned VR glasses to view the assets. Can you edit? Well, hold on a second. I lost where I was. Maybe it's on the screen. So, can you edit these elements using VR? If not, then do you think about this, adding this capability? Okay, VR glasses. What do you mean? I do not quite understand the question. You mentioned VR glasses to view the objects, the assets, but the model that you used, like you put on the glasses, enter a model, can you edit the data while you are in VR? I do not know. You can edit something, you can change something and view everything, how it is done or how it will be done. But you cannot edit anything. You have to go to Revit, change something, and however you want. It's however you like. But in the model that you use for VR glasses, you cannot edit anything. No, you can't. Okay, that's clear. Stanislav. VLS expertise. Are the results accepted as traditional geodesic studies? It doesn't work? Take mine. Yes, they are accepted. They are acceptable. Both aerial photography and laser survey, they have the same status. Question about metro in Doha, subway. Which software do you use to communicate between Rome and Doha? Document management system for document management and communication.
The communication was made using the platform from the client. This called Mezzo Team. Is something like Aconex to share the information between all the relevant stakeholders. And to share the information about the project, we use the common BIM models shared on a common server based in Rome with access from Doha.
By VPN?
Yes.
I see. So, то есть это...
So that's just like a folder structure on a regular server, and you can just have access to it.
And by this way, it was split in so many different models to make possible to share it easily, and then to have a model to collect everything in Rome. But the single structure was split into different models to make it easier to share.
Все, ясно, спасибо.
That's clear. Leader Invest. Question is also a common data environment for BIM project coordination and also to get the documentation from designers. Again, probably Autodesk Vault. How do you get your documentation? Let me tell you in more detail. Documentation and model itself is provided to us into Vault. So we provide access to our common data environment for the designer. They access our environment and provide the data in RWT, editable format, and RWC once a week, like I said in my presentation, so that we will be able to make certain decisions if something goes wrong on a weekly basis, not at the end of the project. I have a question to Alexei about the prescriptions for a general contractor, general building contractor. It's a common practice now to use written prescriptions, but right now there's a shift towards electronic messaging. What do your general contractors think about this? Like I said in my presentation, it's rather difficult to convince conservative people to change their approach, how they work. But when our clients, our people tried this for the first time, they saw the advantages, because how quick it is to get everything electronically. So we are doing everything in digital format. All the comments, all the remarks are provided in digital. We keep the documentation that needs to be on hard copies, but we scan it and upload it to the cloud. So we don't have this risk that a certain paper is just lost. People put it somewhere and we cannot find it. Everything is, all the project lifecycle is in the cloud. Thank you. Sveko. So the question is like this. Technology and system. You used 3D Plan or Revit for the systems and technologies. And how did you automate isometric drawing processing? We used Plant, Revit, Civil, and dedicated software for isometry. What's this software? How is it called? Не помню.
То есть даже и производителя, страну.
And who made it? With what country? Okay, fine, cool. Question to Zala. What about Russian manufacturers for aerial survey? Do you understand the question? Well, there aren't any. There aren't any manufacturers for Russian aerial devices that can be put on the drones. We tried to find someone because the product range, something costs 1 million rubles, something costs $1 million, 60 times higher. Accuracy, it's comparable. So it's pointless to use something which is much more expensive, but they are not Russian anyway. Alfredo, question about Metro. How do you work without drawings? How low-ranking workers worked without drawings? And why without drawings, by the way?
And at the end, someone will print the drawings, but it's not up to us as designer. So, and we have not to provide the drawings printed to collect all the approvals, all the check by all the elements. So probably at the end, one copy or small copies on the construction site has been provided. But for the whole process from the preliminary design up to the workshop drawings, we every time check and share with the client, with the DVE. Imagine that there were quite 20 different companies involved in approval process for the design. So everything was shared and not sharing one copy, one hard copy for each one, but sharing the models and sharing the drawings by PDF format or reports and everything without printing anything. So at the end, probably we didn't do, but someone will print at the end. I don't think they are still ready to go to the construction site with an iPad. So, but it's peanuts out of the normal process, old process to print every time all the drawings, no?
А вот эти PDF-файлы, они содержали в себе какую-то...
PDF files, did they include some signature or a stamp that it can be used?
They were provided into a system of delivery and format in the document exchange that provides some kind of signature when you upload the document and you approve it. There are different levels of approval. So, for example, also for our company, we upload the document, the single architect or engineer upload the document, then the project manager approves, and at the end I approve every deliverable before delivered to the client. So it's an internal approval, but it's made by computer. It's not on a physical signature.
Это картинка с подписью?
Is it an image with a signature? Is there an image?
I guess it's a code. It's like
a
digital signature. So it's a code. It's a code. It's not the image of the physical signature. It's a tick you made on the system, and when all the tick are collected, the document can be delivered to the authorities or someone else. There are some kind, 10, 20, depends on the documents, ticks to be done.
Окей, спасибо. Милан, добавь.
Thank you, Milan.
Project is big. Who was responsible for data management? Because the volume of data must be amazing.
Yes, there was a group of people made by different subjects involved. So there was like a cabin room of people that is involved in data management. Most part of them for the construction company.
IT people?
Some IT to help them, but for dock controllers normally. So it's yeah.
Спасибо.
Thank you. A question to leader in that designers updating the model weekly. I get questions all the time, and my list is always updated, so I will find the question. Now I will read from the screen. Designers updating the model. Who provides the schedule with planned and completed works, and is the schedule related linked to the version of the model? Is update happening automatically, or you need to highlight it manually? Could you please have it remaining questions in my phone? On model updates. During design, the model is operating, it's evolving. Data from editable formats are collected and put into Nevis. In my slide, I showed you that, and coming back to the closing question on the highlighting, on the coloring, the information is stored in the database, and the coloring is based on the database, on the system itself. Changing the model itself does not lead to a repeated coloring. We don't need to color it again, to highlight again, because the data is already on our side. The update is happening, and the key feature here is that each object, each site has its own ID. Each element has its own ID, and the linking is done using the ID. A question to Alexei. Did you face any issues working with BIM 360 design? All the projects of our company are being implemented in BIM 360 design. We use this tool partly because it does not have the entire functionality, and not all the functions are needed by us. Issues. There were some issues related to Telegram when we had this blocking from the Ministry of Communications, blocking Telegram, social network, and we addressed these issues together with Autodesk. There are no major issues. Some local issues are there, but they are minor. Probably some file publications are not successful, but repeat publications are successful after that, so they can be managed quite easily using IT support of Autodesk. They have a good IT support function, and there are no major issues. There are no major issues that we've faced. The only problem was the blocking by the Ministry of Communications. A question to Stanislav. Is there an example of a geoinformation system compatible with BIM? Are there any additional workload on the cloud because of the points or because of the dots? The model of dots or points we get as a result of our work can be integrated to any geoinformation system. It can be some particular systems or specialized solutions developed by companies themselves. The cloud of dots can be used in any case. As for the workload, data load, it is not the case. Of course, results of aerial photography have a bigger volume than the dots. We have a question. Probably some of the speakers might take it. A question on hydrotechnical facilities and designing these facilities. We saw the project that was fully modeled using BIM. So what was the approach behind the designing? We saw the video from the hydrotechnical facilities that was modeled to the real digital model of the landscape.
Budget, we can try.
Хорошо. Окей.
The next question. Doha subway. How did you read documents without paper? Because you had only digital versions, so probably you could comment once again. How did builders read your documents?
I understand that this question about the paperless project, it's challenging. Yeah. So from my point of view, I don't know. I guess on screen, each one of them has his personal way to manage. There is a platform where all the shared documents are over there. Yes, I suppose someone will print, or also in our offices, someone will print something to check. I don't know. But what I was trying to point out is that it's quite different to manage the approval process and the sharing of all informations by printing documents. I remember when the project for the road in Italy I mentioned, there was a room like that with all the printed documents in different columns with different, and everything was packaged, and it takes 25 people for a couple of weeks just to collect everything. No, for the final delivery, 4 tracks start from Rome to go to Milan to deliver all the deliverables. So, when I say paperless, it means a very small amount of paper out of a room of papers, houses of paper. So don't know. I guess everyone we are used now to check everything on the screen. What happened is that from one small screen, now everyone has 2, 3, 4 screens, no, in the offices. 2 is the minimum. I guess I'm the only one in the office with one monitor in the computer. Everyone has at least 2. And then they are used to manage the models, no? Out of the paper. It's also different by the approach of the young professionals, out older like me, to see the three-dimensional model out of 2D drawings. So they prefer to see it and move it on the screen, out of print it and check it like we were used to do 30 years ago.
Хорошо, спасибо большое. Вопрос.
Thank you. A question to Alexander Kudryavtsev. Using BIM technologies, what is the output in terms of money assessed by developers? Is this effect digitized by developers? So simply put, on the first question, what is the effect, the financial effect? Is it being assessed or estimated? Developers need to implement the project in due course, in due deadline, using the financial model, and with no delays in construction. This is the key goal. And we try to drive this result and to deliver these results as soon as possible. Construction, control agencies, CAD systems, everything and other tools are used. A question to all speakers.
Do you make a contract for supervision throughout the entire construction cycle? If you need to add some changes, who pays to the designer? I think it's a rather strange question, but maybe if somebody has something to say, especially about changing during construction, well, it can be different, because according to, if a client requires some changes, then client pays. If it's a designer who makes a mistake, then probably designer pays and changes something at their own cost. What do you think? That's how it should be, yeah? Okay. Question, Alexander. The larger a document, the harder it is to work with. Are you planning to move into another format for requirements? For instance, as a website where designers would have access to. As far as I understand, we're talking about information model requirements, right? Yes. Like I said, a document, we're always optimizing this process. The document grows bigger and bigger, and at a certain point we realize that some requirements, some comments are not so important. So we're trying to update this document, optimize it throughout its entire life cycle. So, of course, we want to make it as short as possible with the most important moments. And out of, say, 50-page documents, have 15-page documents with all the main comments. I mean, probably the question was, are you planning to use a special software? Because it's basically requirement management. And if we change something, delete something, client have different requirements, market something changes on the market, probably it would be better to use a certain software with a table, like with version history, and not just a text document. Or you didn't think about it. When certain requirements are made about development of a model, they are attached to the contract. They are like an appendix to the contract. And any changes it's a measure of last resort. It requires an additional agreement as an appendix to the contract. And we do not make any changes into the existing contracts, only as additional agreements, supplementary agreements. As for the software, the most interesting software would be like this. When you generate a code in SOW based on the model data, you do not just take a code, but the other way around. You generate it. We build a wall and put it somewhere underground, in the underground part of the building, with certain concrete grade, and based on this data, a code is generated. Location, material. If somebody can offer any solution to us, we will be glad to use it. Alexei, every designer uses BIM 360 design directly, or they use docs, and then manager coordinates. The concept has changed here. In the most recent edition, BIM 300 Document Manager is the only point of contact for all BIM 360 family, which includes BIM 360 Design. Designers using BIM 360 Design basically work in Revit, and their central model is stored in on the server, and they are working with the local model. For designers, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't change anything. They work with the product that they are used to, Revit, for designers. And if we speak about the entire platform, it's BIM 360. But they also can work in Civil 3D and all other products with editable formats. It can be all stored in BIM 360 management. Stanislav, what's the price difference compared with the classical geodesic survey? It depends on the accuracy. I cannot name you the exact figures right now, but it does depend. More than 30%, say 40, yeah, something like this, 30-40%. 30-40% more expensive. But when you deal with classical aerial photography, you have to do lots of in situ work, and this is a big price factor. Current works, geodesic works, photography itself, and here the cost of technology plays more important role. Do you use drones? No. It's another question to you. Do you use drones to monitor building structure conditions? No, we do not use drones for this, for building supervision. Not yet, at least. There was a lineup of our drones on slide. The smallest is about 1 meter, so it's rather difficult to use it in urban environments, to navigate between the buildings. So it's basically, it's probably more suitable for open spaces. On the other hand, there aren't any technical constraints here. It's just, again, this laser technology, laser scanning technology, is rather new, and it can be used. There aren't any technical constraints. Laser technology itself, it's rather lightweight. It used to be that we used helicopters for laser scanning because the lasers themselves were huge. But right now they're compact and they can be installed on a small drone. We just didn't have any requirements about this. There weren't any demand. And with the buildings, the discrepancy should be, as far as I understand, 3 centimeters accuracy, and our measurements meet this requirement.